Welcome to the Sweat. Hey, get this. Good morning. Hope you all are having a lovely Saturday morning. Hope you all got your coffee. Whoa. We're good. Forgot to mute my TV. I have the show on the TV back there so I could see if something's fucking up. So, yeah, hope you guys had a nice Friday night. I definitely did not. I went 0-2 in my NBA picks, and then last minute I threw a Clippers bet down too, which lost as well. So, it's not a good night. Did you have a good college basketball night?
Yeah, we swept the board.
You swept the board last night?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you're having a hell of a week.
It was 3-0. It wasn't anything spectacular. A mini sweep, I guess, but still, I'll take it.
A mini sweep. All right, so how about this? We'll just do you guys tell us in the comments what game you want us to talk about? Because there's only two of us. We're down to do it. We're just going to hang out for 25 minutes, whatever. What do you guys want to talk about? So go ahead, throw a game in the comments.
Yeah, throw some out there.
Bucks minus 3.5, Kevin. I was leaning that way. Clemson going to be – all right, let's start with Clemson-Memphis. There we go, Clemson-Memphis.
I agree with Mangan Hang or whatever. Toast is the GOAT. That guy's awesome.
All right, Clemson, Memphis. It's 5.5. Not knowing much about either team, I know I like Clemson better on the road, and Memphis can get hot shooting the outside shot. Tell me we don't take a flyer on the Blue Tigers here.
Oh, I bet Memphis last night at 7, so I'm all in. I'm with you guys. I'm with you. I think that you're always going, especially with this Memphis team, that it's obviously Kyle just touched on. They're very, very 3-point reliant. I get all that. But at the same time, they've played one of the best, if not, not the best schedule in the nation, essentially a top 5 schedule in the nation so far. I mean, Missouri, UNLV, Ohio. And I know that when I say Ohio, that doesn't really bring alarms like, oh my God, that's a really good team. But that's essentially a top 150 to 160 team in KenPom. So that's no slouch of a team. San Francisco, UConn, Michigan State. Obviously, they lost to Auburn. Everybody loses to Auburn. And then the kicker was them losing to Arkansas State. But I also feel like that's just part of what you're going to get with some of Penny's teams. I mean, they got blown out a little bit in the first half when the game they played against San Francisco as well. They came back and roared back as well. So they also had some crazy games in Maui as well. So, again, Memphis is going to be one of those teams that's going to make you want to pull your hair out. Obviously, the last Sunday against Arkansas State shows you that. I mean, they shouldn't be losing by double digits to an Arkansas State team, but they have the talent, especially the talent to match up with this Clemson team who's also played a somewhat decent schedule. But at the same time, I think this Memphis team is by far the most talented team they're going to see, not named Kentucky. Obviously, Clemson won that Kentucky game, but at the same time, I feel like, especially at 5.5 or 7, whatever you get it at, I just felt that was too many again, a Memphis team that offensively might struggle a little bit at times, and Clemson's definitely a very good defense. But like I said, at the same time, I don't think that Clemson's seen an offense like they've seen with Memphis so far this season. So obviously, Kentucky's really good. Boise State's offense is pretty decent, but that Boise State game, again, people look at that Clemson game against Boise State. Again, that was 3 games into the season. Clemson had to travel across the country. I don't really put too much stock into that one. But again, Clemson in Miami, both of those teams are somewhat good offensively. Those games are somewhat close. I think Memphis keeps this game close.
Someone sent in a super chat for $10 and said, Toast is the GOAT. I guess someone's been tailing you this week. Appreciate it, man. I'm putting Memphis up too, but I'm not looking at college basketball till January. All right. A couple people requested Dayton, Marquette. I don't have graphics for that one, though.
Yeah, that's cool. So let me double check to see what the number is right now, because I'm on Marquette. So as far as this game goes, Marquette +1. So I even got the worst of the number. I played Marquette -110. You can get it at +100 on ESPN. But honestly, for me, it was a play on the number. Dayton is a good basketball team. There's no question about that. But you're getting, I mean, now on ESPN, you're getting Shaka Smart as a dog, which I'm kind of making a joke on that one. But I do think that this Marquette team, getting this Marquette team at even money or minus 110 or however you want to slice it, is just too good to pass up. Again, Dayton's a very good basketball team. There's no question about that. But very similar to Memphis, Marquette is a team that's been tested. I mean, they're playing a top 50 schedule. I mean, their last few games. I mean, Wisconsin, who's obviously a very good basketball team. Iowa State, who I talked about yesterday or 2 days ago, that a lot of people that I know and respect think they are the best team in the country, if not a top 5 team in the country. Georgia, obviously, if we know, Andy can tell you about how good Georgia is, and I believe, and I agree with him. Georgia's a very good basketball team. Maryland, Purdue. So Marquette's not only been tested, they've also been tested on the road. They played in Iowa State, they played in Maryland, both those games on the road. And yes, they lost that Iowa State game, but Iowa State, I would consider, I don't know about head and shoulders, but at least shoulders better than this Dayton team, that's for sure. So also, I think that Dayton's getting a little extra love for what they did in Maui. I think that win against UConn is going a long way for a lot of people, which is fine. That was a really good win for them. But at the same time, if you take out Maui, this team has absolutely played nobody. Their best win would be Northwestern, which is not going to be very impressive, and it only gets that win only is getting worse as the time goes on. So again, this is a coin flip. I guess I lost a little bit of value on it, but at the same time, Marquette is head and shoulders bigger than these guys. They don't turn the ball over. Dayton doesn't force turnovers. Dayton's really good at not forcing turnovers themselves, but at the same time, Marquette's a top 5 team in the country in forcing turnovers. So anything that Dayton does, Marquette does better. So at that, like I said, Marquette's a more experienced team as well. Or I'm sorry, that's the other way around. That's what Dayton has. Dayton's the only thing that they have really is their experience. So, but they're short. So I just felt that this number with Marquette's too short.
I saw someone mention the Oklahoma City-Houston game, so we'll switch over to the NBA real quick. I bet this one. I took the under in this game, but I took it last night at 214.5. It's now at 215.5. So market moved against me. Actually, the market moved against me in both my bets. That's not the best feeling when you wake up when the market moves against you in both bets. Not that I really worry too much about it, but yeah, I'm on the under here. I got it at 214.5, and plain and simple, I mean, these are two of the best defenses in the NBA right now. In the last 10 games, hold on, let me set up the poll. Also, let me type the.
Holy shit! It's 8-0 Memphis.
Is it really? I didn't even know that game started. I actually was going to bet that.
I didn't realize it was that early. I knew it was an early game, but I didn't realize it was this early.
I actually was going to bet that one, too. I liked it when I was setting the graphics up. I didn't realize it started that early.
I didn't either. I wish I would have. Yeah.
All right. So, in the last 10 games, the Rockets are third in defensive efficiency, and the Oklahoma City Thunder is second. So we're talking about two of the best defenses in the NBA. Also, the Rockets have really slowed down their pace. They've actually run, in the last 5 games, the slowest pace in the NBA. So Rockets have been running a lot slower pace. Just basically what these two teams do, the other team's elite at defending it. The Rockets run, they get out in transition a lot. They're 8th in transition frequency. They also run a lot of pick and roll stuff. Oklahoma City against transition, 5th in points per game allowed. Against pick and roll, 2nd in points per game allowed. So Oklahoma City just great defensively at what the Rockets are trying to do. As far as the matchup on the other side, Houston solid on the interior defensively, which is what Oklahoma City's trying to do. Oklahoma City's also been taking a lot of above the break threes. Houston top 5 defensively against that. So with the Rockets slowing down the pace, two of the best defenses in the NBA, huge game, standalone game. I think we see the best defensive effort. So I took the under in this one, and I actually bet that. Where we go next?
I think Arizona State. I've seen a couple. I
think I have graphics for that one.
Gonzaga.
Oh, we're going Zags next? Okay.
Yeah.
I have graphics. I definitely got graphics for that one. Let me go find it. Here it is. Game 15. Zags.
That's the only other game that I saw in there.
Yeah, guys, we're just taking requests. So whatever you want to talk about, throw it in the comments. This number's still at 2.5, by the way.
Yeah. We talked about this game a little bit last night as well. I still feel so. I bet Gonzaga money line, but that is a complete homer bet. I do 100% feel like this is a UConn spot. Like I touched on yesterday, again, I love Gonzaga. It's my favorite team. Everybody knows that. So, and there's a big but to this. I also hate UConn, and everybody knows that. So sometimes I feel like they're kind of like the Yankees of college basketball. It's just every time I get a chance, I'm going to set a jab their way. But that being said, I don't think that UConn is as bad as what we saw in Maui. Obviously, a Memphis team that we just talked about that's pretty good, a Colorado team that's terrible, and a Dayton team that's a top 30 team as far as KenPom goes. But then they come back, they win a really hard-fought game against Baylor. Again, you can take that Baylor game with a grain of salt because there was no Lincecum and there was no Jeremy Roach for most of that game for Baylor, which is essentially two of their starters. But Connecticut still won that game. So kudos to them. And then they went on the road against the Texas team that, again, I talk about all the time as a terrible coach team. But again, you go on the road in Texas in the Moody Center against a Texas team that had just lost or previously or something, whatever it was. They barely won against NC State. That's what it was. And they come out and they dominate that game in the first half. It was like a 20-point game in the first half. Texas had a couple runs in the second half, but that game was never really close out of hand. And now Connecticut comes back home and faces this Gonzaga team that, again, yes, is very good. But at the same time, I do have concerns with them. First and foremost, again, the West Virginia game, it is what it is. It's a neutral game. It was the first game of a tournament. Obviously, they weren't ready. They handled business the next couple of nights. But then on Saturday, our last Saturday against the Adventures, Kentucky, I mean, for first and foremost, I mean, the free throw shooting was absolutely terrible. I mean, Gonzaga is the number one free throw shooting, or like a top 5 free throw shooting team in the country. And the free throw shooting numbers weren't terrible, but I guess if you watch college basketball, you know, like how when you're not making the front end of 1-and-1s and the other team is, and you're not even getting that second opportunity at those free throws, I mean, that just really kills you. And Gonzaga wasn't doing that. And now they're going to have to travel across the country to Madison Square Garden and face this UConn team that can light it up from multiple spots on the floor. I mean, UConn can shoot the hell out of the ball. I mean, they're one of the best shooting teams in the country, and I truly believe that. And I know that if you're looking on KenPom and you see Gonzaga ranked as the number 2 defense against three-point percentage, again, that's there, but also I think that Gonzaga has benefited from playing in games like in the Bahamas, like semi-home games again in Seattle. I mean, that game in Seattle wasn't a home game. And so, again, my point to all that is you play a few games on a neutral, you play a couple games on a semi-home. It's really easy for those 3-point numbers for you to look, or defensively to look really good when people are playing in hockey arenas and whatnot. So, again, I would love to come on here and tell you guys this is a smash spot for Gonzaga and whatnot, but I do think that if UConn is even somewhat decent from behind the arc today with guys like Caravan and stuff, I don't know who Gonzaga matches up with them, just because I don't feel like UConn's tied to playing inside. I think they're more than comfortable playing outside, and that's something that Gonzaga is going to struggle with. I want to make that point very, very clear. This has been going back with Mark Few for a while now. He has a very hard time struggling defending the perimeter, and I think that UConn is one of the teams in the country that can really make them pay here tonight. So I think that Gonzaga is going to have a plan. I mean, they're one of the more experienced teams in the country as far as Gonzaga is concerned, and they should be able to match up height-wise as far as UConn is concerned. But for all the shooting things that I said about UConn, Gonzaga can match that up offensively. But again, as far as a 3-ball is concerned, I think that's the most concerning, and UConn has a huge advantage in this game. So, again, I bet Gonzaga as an absolute homer, but I truly believe this is a UConn spot.
All right, I saw someone mention Army-Navy. We'll go to Army-Navy. Let's get the poll up. It's now 6.5. I put a video up last night on the game. I said I was going to bet Navy and the under, but betting Navy was really more just having some fun, fading the world. I actually did end up betting the under, so I actually have a bet down on under 39.5. Should have got a 40.5, didn't. Wasn't paying close enough attention. But yeah, I have under 39.5 for those of you that are newer to college football and aren't familiar with this game. So last year, this game pushed the total at 28. So the total closed at 28 and it pushed. The year before that, it had gone over. Before that, 17 consecutive unders. So for those of you that are newer to college football, this goes under every single year. The total is 17-1-1 to the under in the last 19 games. The reason the total's a bit higher this year, now you might be thinking 39.5, that's not higher. No, for Army and Navy, that's a decently high total. These offenses were better this year than we're used to seeing from Army and Navy. They definitely put up some big numbers on the scoreboard at times this year, but it's not about whether you think these defenses can stop these offenses as much as you think. It's more about the game flow and the type of football game you're going to see. Both these teams are going to run the ball at 90% of the time. Both these the clock is never going to stop in this game. These are not huge play offenses. This is 4 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, first down. 4 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, first down. So even if you think, hey, Navy can't stop Army's offense, this game's going to get over. Hey, Navy can't stop Army's offense, the Army's going to cover this. It's going to take Army 8-9 minutes to score based on the way that they play. And then when they're playing other teams, they get the ball back quicker, so it's not as noticeable. But when they're playing each other, I mean, all of a sudden it's midway through the second quarter and it's 7-3 because it's only been 2 possessions. So it's the way that these games go. We saw it in the Army Air Force game earlier in the year. Everyone was like, Air Force is going to kill Army. Army minus 20. Now, I think Bryson Daly ended up not playing in the game. So it dropped from 20.5 to 17.5. But still, the way that game went was there was 3 or 4 possessions in the half. So when you're talking about laying 6.5 points, if you isolate it to, hey, each team's only going to get 7 possessions, it becomes a little bit harder to cover a 6.5, 7 point line. Because, I mean, in reality, Navy gets to 14, 17 points. It's going to be tough for Army to cover that. So I would lean towards Navy, but I actually bet the under at 39.5. What else we got? Texas A&M Purdue. Toast, I know, was talking about that one last night. Here we go.
So I felt I messed the place of this game up a little bit. So I did bet Purdue.
But it's going to be 90% Purdue fans, right? Texas A&M fans aren't traveling to Indiana.
I just wanted to make it clear that because I had said that in the Discord, I've said that to multiple people that this game was going to be in Mackey. So I just didn't want to make people think that I was just brushing that under the rug. So I messed that part up. Everything still stays the same for me as far as this game is concerned. You have, again, a Purdue team that I still think is better than what people want to give them credit for. I also think that this Texas A&M team has played a somewhat decent schedule, but at the same time, I think they're playing like a weaker version of that schedule. I mean, they're like a top 60, top 75 team as far as strength of schedule is concerned. Only 2 losses against the UCF and Oregon. UCF, the game, it was the first game of the year on the road. I mean, that's kind of hard. Don't really expect that from a Buzz Williams team, but rattled off 4 or 5 straight after that. Then obviously went and beat lost to Oregon. But the Creighton game, it's kind of hard for me to put too much stock into because, again, I don't really know how good Creighton is. I mean, at least Creighton had played everybody. Pop Isaacs played, Kalkbrenner played, all that stuff. But they only won that game by 4. The Rutgers game, I truly believe I watched that game from start to finish. That game could have went really either way. They ended up winning that game by 4. The Wake Forest game, Wake Forest is absolutely terrible. And then the Texas Tech team that's like somewhat decent, I guess, on a neutral, that was really, really close. And now they get a Purdue team, that's going to not only be able to match up with them as far as offensively is concerned. I think there's no question about, as far as you take the Texas A&M offense and the Purdue offense, you're going to take the Purdue offense. The only thing that's positive about Texas A&M is they're a really, really good rebounding team. I think they're the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country. Obviously, they know what to do. They're going to play through their defense and they're going to get their rebounds. But again, you're playing a Purdue team that's pretty damn big that can rebound. And not to mention the fact that I harp on this a lot. I know that Purdue hasn't looked good at times, facing a Penn State team on the road, a Marquette team on the road. I mean, those games aren't easy. I mean, they also beat Alabama at home this year. They beat a pretty good Ole Miss team that we've all cashed some bets on with this team. They beat that team on a neutral floor. They beat a Maryland team that a lot of people is really good. I mean, Purdue's played a top 10 schedule themselves. It's not like they're playing nobodies. I will give you that Purdue has Auburn on deck, which is a pretty obviously one of the biggest games of the year for them. But at the same time, this Texas A&M game is pretty big for them too. So again, I trust Matt Painter and I trust guys like Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. Wade Taylor is awesome. There's no question about that. But I think talent-wise, Purdue is head and shoulders better than this Texas A&M team. I would love this game to be in Mackey a little bit better, but I just feel like Purdue's going to make this game an absolute crawl. And I think that Purdue's one of the teams that Texas A&M hasn't seen that can actually match up with Texas A&M defensively. So if you're going to have a slow, drawn-out, hard-fought game, defensive battle, I will take Purdue at home or a semi-home game almost all the time, because really you're really relying, for as far as Texas A&M concerned, you're really relying on Wade Taylor or that Phelps kid to score. And I think that Painter's going to be able to strategize against that. So I took Purdue. I'm curious to see what the number is now. It's still 2.5.
Yeah, you can get 2. You can get a 2.
Yeah, so same difference. I'd still play it at that number. You can get money lines at -130, -140. I played it at -120, so it's not like it's a crazy difference.
All right, someone asked for Hawks Bucks. I took a long look at this one last night. So it's now that Jalen Johnson is listed as questionable, I'm closer to placing the bet than I was last night. I want to bet the Hawks. I mean, I'm sorry. I want to bet Milwaukee. I want to bet the Bucks, not the Hawks. So let me put it up on the reason I didn't is the Hawks are playing, and when I say better basketball than the Bucks, it's not even really close. They're playing much better basketball than the Bucks. And it's not just because shot making in the NBA, it comes and goes, right? Teams get hot, they're shot, and then they get cold. Happens. But the Hawks are out rebounding everybody. And rebounding is a little more sustainable than, say, a hot three-point shooting team. In the last 10 games, the Hawks are top 5 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. The Hawks. So this is an elite rebounding team right now. It's not a team you really want to lay points to. But spot-wise, like, Hawks just came into Milwaukee. That was about a week and a half ago. Beat the shit out of the Bucks on their home floor. So there's their whole, hey, the Hawks got them on their home floor a week and a half ago. Bucks are going to get them back, which, I mean, betting that way, you can win some bets that way. I don't hate that. It's just tough to lay points to a team playing as well as Atlanta is right now. But like I said, Jalen Johnson officially listed as questionable. Let me do a refresh. Yeah, he's still listed as questionable. He's a huge part of what the Hawks are doing right now and the success they're having, scoring on the interior and everything he brings to the team. So if Jalen Johnson doesn't play, I'm 100% down to bet the Bucks here. This game starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, so it's an afternoon game. Yeah, I was thinking about betting the Bucks, but like I said, it's just so hard to bet against a team that's playing as well as the Hawks are right now. And something I like is the Hawks have been scoring a lot on the interior. That's why I like the Hawks against the Knicks the other night. The Bucks have, I mean, we've seen the last couple of years, the Bucks are very capable of playing elite defense at the rim. I mean, with Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, we're starting to see the interior defense come around for Milwaukee. The 3 games they've played since they played Atlanta and lost to Atlanta, they've looked pretty good. They played the Celtics down to the wire on the road in Boston, then picked up 2 wins after that. So I think the Bucks win and cover this. Hawks are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Not trying to lay. If Jalen Johnson is ruled out, I'm down to bet this. But yeah, I want to take the Bucks.
You don't have a graphic for this, but somebody asked a lot about Toledo and Youngstown State. The line is so weird to me, guys. I made Toledo like -2, and you can get Toledo +2 or +1.5. So I didn't bet the game, but I only say Youngstown State only because of the line. I feel like they're trying to trap some people. Again, this is I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking this, but Youngstown State's horrible. I mean, they are by far one of the worst teams in the country. And they've played nobody, and you're getting a Toledo team that I don't think is, again, both of these teams are bad, but the reason I didn't want to bet Toledo is that I don't like betting teams that just got done playing Division III or teams like that. Like they just played Defiance. They just put 111 points off them. So they played UC San Diego and Oakland. So now playing Youngstown State's a really step down in class. But again, for Toledo, next they have Youngstown State today. The next 2 games after that, Houston and Purdue. I mean, so this is essentially their biggest month of the season right now as far as the teams they're going to play. Again, everything as far as numbers things says Toledo. Toledo doesn't turn the ball over. They can shoot the 3 ball. They match up size wise. As a matter of fact, they're much bigger than Youngstown State. They're a better free throw shooting team. They both run the same pace. Like there's no, Toledo is the better basketball team. There's no question about that. I just don't understand why they're getting points. It just kind of threw me for a loop. I'm not going to lie.
Someone said we need Toast, Scoop, and Andy doing the college basketball show. Yeah, that's in January. The March Madness shows that when we were talking all the shit, that starts in January. It's tough right now because the schedule is so inconsistent in every single sport right now. The NBA Cup, like there's just a few days off, and then college football, you got a regular season game. Bowl games are starting with one, which by the way, we should do that one next. The bowl game. You got college basketball where it's like conference play is kind of starting but not really, and then it's like about to be winter break. So this is a very weird week in sports. So we're kind of in a weird spot too. Not to mention Scoop's got some family stuff going on this week. So yeah, and Andy's on the way to the Devils game. So Andy's not even available today. So yeah, that's January is when we start the college basketball shows you're talking about from last year. Those start in January. Those are fun, man. We talked a lot of shit in that show. That show was like
that was good times.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the bowl game.
You can really only count on me and Sauce to show up to work every day.
Yeah. No, let's give Andy some credit.
No, I don't. And Scoop does a really good job putting out soccer bets every single day as well, just because he's not on the show. He's capping 3 sports.
Yeah, well, it's because other people, it's like, oh, yeah, I want a day off work. And it's like, like, Kyle, what are you doing on your day off work? Like, oh, I'm going to play some bets. Like, that's just what I'm doing. I'm going to play some bets and watch some sports. That's what I do on my day off. All right. South Alabama, Western Michigan. This is the Salute to Service Bowl, I believe is the name. And I hope I didn't mess that up. I'm pretty sure it's the Salute to Service Bowl. If you're new to college football, these bowl games, I mean, they're tough. And not only do you have the opt-outs, obviously, players entering the transfer portal, players declaring for the NFL draft, but in addition to that, you have just such a gap from when these teams have played football games. Makes it really tough. Now, South Alabama just played in the conference, or I'm sorry. There's just such a gap between. Like, you remember what it was like being 19, 20 years old? Man, my girlfriend breaking up with me ruined like a 3-month period of my life. Like, you're just an emotional person at that age. So trying to predict like what kind of effort or what kind of mindset these 19, 20-year-old kids are going to be in a month later is crazy. Especially like a lot of them going back home to their hometown for the first time in months. Who know? Like, shit's just weird when you're a 19, 20-year-old kid. Like, your life can be altered by like the slightest of things. There's a lot going on in these kids' lives. So it's not just the opt-outs. It's a month later of a 19-year-old kid's life. Who knows what the hell he's got going on. When you're talking about professional sports, you kind of have more of an idea of what kind of effort you're going to get. These are professionals. They know what to do. Whatever's going on in their personal life, they know how to prepare. So the bowl games are challenging on a number of different levels. That being said, in this one second. Let me get my pickup. I did bet it, but again, it's bowl games. Please, if you're tailing, just bet responsibly. These are very, very challenging. I laid it with South Alabama.
That being said, I laid it.
That being said, this is free as air. So I laid it with South Alabama. As far as opt-outs here, South Alabama is missing their RB1 and leading rusher. So that is something. South Alabama missing their main RB, but on the Western Michigan side, they're missing 2 pieces of their defensive front 7, including their best edge rusher and a D tackle. So kind of evens out. And regardless, I mean, Western Michigan's defense is pretty poor. This was a bad MAC defense. Western Michigan's offense has my respect, but the defense is not good. In South Alabama, I mean, Gio Lopez, the freshman quarterback, he's going to be playing. Everyone's playing except the running back. And the RB1, the leading rusher, he didn't even lead the team in carries. The other running back did, who's playing. Bullock is the other running back's name. So South Alabama's in pretty good shape here against a bad defense. Weather's supposed to be fine in Montgomery, Alabama. They should score on most possessions. On the other side, can Western Michigan run the football in this game? Sure. Western Michigan is a good MAC rushing attack. Problem is, South Alabama's been surprisingly good against the run this year. And also, Hayden Wolf, kind of a disappointing season at quarterback for Western Michigan. I thought entering the season, I thought Western Michigan was going to be one of the most dangerous offenses in the conference. And I was looking kind of right for about 2/3 of the season. This is what I really don't like about Western Michigan is the last 3 games of the year, this offense fell off a cliff. And I'm talking like 17 points per game, 17.8 points per game in their last 3 games. Yards per play way down, success rate way down. They finished the year with 3 terrible offensive games in a row. In the 6 games before that, they were averaging almost 40 points per game. So it was looking like one of the best offenses in the MAC, and then out of nowhere, just fell off a cliff and looked terrible. So not coming into this one with any momentum. I think South Alabama's going to score on mostly every drive. So Western Michigan, sure, they're going to be able to run the ball, but can they keep up? I would say probably not. The reason what I want to do is take the South Alabama team total over or the over in the game. The reason I can't do that is neither of these teams play particularly quick paces. In fact, Western Michigan plays a slow pace, like 122nd or something, and they run the ball a lot. So it's tough holding an over with a number like 57.5 when Western Michigan's going to hand the ball off 40-plus times and hold on to and just try to chew the clock as much as they can. So I bet this. Am I telling you to bet it? No. But yeah, I do have this exact ticket, South Alabama minus 8.5 in my pocket. All right, it's 11:30, so we'll do one more. Toast, is there a game we didn't do that you would like to talk about?
Couple people, at least one person or 2 people asked about Auburn, Ohio State, so we can just get into that.
Graphics for that one.
Yeah. So I really want to bet Ohio State. Not again, and we touched on this a little bit last night. This isn't me trying to make a case that I think that Auburn's overrated or this is a bad spot for them or anything like that. I just felt like this number is kind of high in a kind of a, I guess I want to call it a little bit of a sleepy spot for Auburn. And I know that that's kind of crazy considering when you see Ohio State team that's essentially a top 25 team in the country. But keep in mind, Auburn has played one of the hardest schedules in the country. They've played teams like Houston, Iowa State, Duke, that Memphis team, North Carolina. I mean, obviously some of those games were on the neutrals and whatnot, but regardless, they've been tested pretty well. And now they play at Ohio State game on a neutral, which helps. But after that, they play Georgia State, and then they don't play Purdue for another week and a half or something like that. So I just feel like it's kind of a little bit of a sleepy spot for Auburn. But again, they're the best team in the country. They're the best offense in the country. They're the best, one of the best defenses in the country. The thing that has me off of Ohio State, and it's an article that I read yesterday, and I wish that I had the guy's name to give him credit, but he kind of just looked at teams that were overperforming as far as 3-point wise or other things. A team like, and just to give you an example, a team like Bradley, one of the best 3-point shooting team in the country. They're 19% 3-point percentage, better than what they are expected to do. They play Santa Clara tonight, so I played Santa Clara. Ohio State is another one of those teams where I didn't play Auburn, but it kept me off of Ohio State because they're the same way. Ohio State has been fantastic shooting the 3-ball this year, but all the numbers, including shot quality and stuff, say they're making threes at almost 15% more than they should. That number is going to come down. Does it come today on a neutral against Auburn? That would make sense on a spot where those numbers can kind of come down. Also, the fact that Ohio State is one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, 281st in the country is shooting free throws. So even if they can keep this game somewhat close, and Auburn in this game has fouls down the stretch, I mean, this is the type of game where you can see it. I can see Very similar to how you talked about the Lakers game last night. I think it was the Lakers game last night, how it was Auburn is minus 12.5. This game's going to be 6 or 7 this whole time. And then in the last 5 minutes of the game, Auburn's going to go on like a 10-0 run. Ohio State's not going to be able to hit their free throws, and Auburn's going to win by 13 type of thing. So I would really, really like to play Ohio State here. I just can't do it. I'm just not. They're not a good enough team for me defensively to fade against Auburn. And as far as offensively is concerned, I trust them, especially from what we've seen. But like I said, the regression monster is real, especially in college basketball. And a team that can't shoot their free throws, it's just really hard for me to trust them on a neutral.
I took Ohio State money line in the league because I'm down. For those who don't know how the league works, we have a betting league, and at the end of the week, the division winner goes on to the playoffs, and I'm down like 4 units with 2 days to go, so I have to make some ground. So I took Ohio State money line in the league at plus 500. I'm throwing a Hail Mary here.
Somebody asked about Providence. I played Providence on the money line. Yeah. So we don't have to get into it, but yeah, I did play Providence on the money line. I think they're continuing to be undervalued right now, and I also think that St. Bonaventure this is the highest the Bonnies are ever going to be, especially after their very good start. This is also the huge step up in class. St. Bonaventure has played absolutely nobody. The best team that they've played, I think, is Utah State, which is maybe a top 50 team, but everybody else is in like the 300s. So.
Want to do last one, Tennessee, Illinois, because I know a lot of people are betting that game. A lot of people have asked about it, so we'll do Tennessee, Illinois, and then we'll do a community top bet and call it.
Yeah, it'd be Tennessee or pass for me. I didn't bet this one. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive Andy did bet this game. So
yes, Tennessee money line.
Yeah, Andy has Tennessee money line. He also has Auburn, Alabama, Arizona money line parlay. Now that I see it, so wait a minute.
For him.
He fucked that up. Now I knew that looked weird. He put Illinois money line.
Yeah, I fixed it for him. Well, he submitted Illinois, then he texted me and said I picked the wrong team on the website, so I had to go and fix it.
Okay, that makes more sense. And I was gonna say because he doesn't usually make mistakes like that. So, anyway, I just think that Tennessee's the better team, and you're getting them at a super cheap price at nearly a pick'em price. I guess maybe you can say that because they're on the road. But at the same time, I mean, this Illinois team, how do I say this? I don't want to like take I'm not trying to take shots at them, but I haven't done anything that's impressed me. Getting essentially blown out by Alabama, their first test of the year. I mean, again, Alabama's a really good team. It's hard to really take a lot away from them from that. But again, an Arkansas team that isn't a very good basketball team. I know that Cal and all that stuff has that fan base reinvigorated, but at the same time, there's a lot of issues with that Arkansas team. We've seen that with this Illinois team. We've seen that against the Miami game as well. I just don't really feel like a 13-point win against Arkansas on a neutral really moves the needle that much for me. And then Illinois goes out and they lose this to Northwestern, and then they win against Wisconsin. Tennessee, on the other hand, is a team that, again, hasn't really been tested like Illinois has. Again, they beat up on that same Miami team that Miami team 75-62. They beat a decent Louisville team that was full strength back then, which is another thing that I think that people don't put into perspective. I mean, the teams that Louisville's played and lost to, and this is just like a side rant, but the teams that Louisville's played in earlier in the season, you get credit for them with having Pryor in that game. So Tennessee had to see the best of them. They also saw a Virginia team. They saw Baylor. They saw Syracuse, who's a really big team. So I just feel like there's so many advantages that not only has Tennessee seen everything about this, but I think that defensively, this is going to be by far the best team that Illinois is going to see. And it's really not even close. Tennessee's the number 2 defense in the country. The best other defense that they've seen is 1, Northwestern, which is the game that they lost. 2, the other one was against Arkansas, who's the 20th best in the country, and the other one was against Alabama. And again, that Arkansas game, it is what it is. But anytime that they've seen a somewhat feasible defense, like a top 25 defense, a real defense in the country, this Illinois team is lost. And the reason that I think that happens is because they don't really have a true go-to scorer. Yes, and I said this last night, Jack Anunis, I know I butcher his name. I don't really care. He's obviously very, very good. He's their go-to guy. But they also have Evilishlich, or however you say his name, Riley, White, and Johnson, all those guys. I actually really like Will Riley as a freshman too. But again, all those guys all get shots, all get possessions. I mean, they don't have a go-to guy. And I feel like that's going to be the death nail against the Tennessee team that can defend at one of the best rates in the country. And they have guys like Zakai Ziegler, who has been around for 15 years, not to mention Chaz Lanier, who's a senior as well. So when you have senior point guards with a team that's one of the best teams in the country defensively, I don't really put too much stock in this game going on the road. They played a road game against Louisville. They've played neutrals against Miami, Virginia, and Baylor. I just felt like this number was too short. So I think Andy played the money line at -110. It's -1.5 now. I truly believe that Tennessee wins this game by multiple possessions.
I tagged the wrong person. It was Mike Doan asking about that. Yes, someone was asking where they could see all your stuff. It's all posted on the website and in the Discord. All right, let's do like a community top bet and call it. Today was just kind of like a makeshift show. I know usually we have a lot more to go through. It's a weird week. So, all right, let's throw in the first leg. We'll throw the people like the Hawks because they're red hot.
It has been a weird week. Just scheduling.
And just every single sport is going through like a transition. So what? So I'll throw the 2 NBA games in, and then we'll throw Texas A&M or Purdue. They like Purdue. Auburn or Ohio State, they like Auburn. Sorry, sauces are going to be a community parlay. Yeah, we're doing it right now.
Go ahead.
It's going to be a mixture of NBA, college football, college basketball. We'll do it everything.
Oh, Jesus, that number is way gone. Okay, some other bets I placed. LIU first half. I played it plus 15.5. They're playing Missouri, by the way. You can get up to 16.5 now. I played it last night. I don't really care. You 17, 15.5. It doesn't matter. You're getting that Missouri team coming off one of their best games of the year. I really, really, really want to fade that. Keep in mind, Missouri just whooped up on Kansas, and now they play. That was the number 11th ranked Kansas. Now they play number 332 LIU, who's been absolutely terrible this year. But they actually just played UMass Lowell kind of close, and UMass Lowell is surprisingly one of the better like mid-majors this year. So I think this is like really one of the biggest spots for LIU in their season. So go Sharks in the first half. Go Sharks.
Go Sharks. So what else should we put in the Discord? They like Army, definitely. We'll put South Alabama from the bowl game, and then we'll put 2 more college basketball games. What about UCLA Arizona is interesting to us. I'm surprised no one asked about that game. That's a cool one, right?
Yeah, that is a really cool one.
What would the public side be there? Arizona?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it's. I haven't looked this morning. I don't know if it's like super heavy. I know Arizona opened at 1.5, and I think that I think it was DraftKings that opened it, and that number was gone really quickly. I think it's more 2.5s or 3.5s now. But Arizona is one of those teams that they should start finding their role. I think they're one of the teams in the country that, especially 3-point shooting wise, hasn't gone their way. And the teams that they've played have shot the ball really good from them. The issue is that this UCLA team can't play offense to save their life, which I think could be the death nail in this game. But at the same time, they can defend, and I think they can defend anybody. I mean, watching them against Oregon on the road in their first true road game of the year, UCLA was really impressive. So the offense is absolutely terrible, but if there's one thing about UCLA is they're deep, they're experienced, and they're extremely well coached. So I think they're going to try to slow this game down. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but I also like the fact that this game's not in McHale Arena. It's on a neutral. So not that Arizona hasn't played there before, but at the same time, if those shots aren't falling early, it would be UCLA is going to be in this game. So I think Arizona wins comfortably. I really do. But at the same time, I couldn't bet it at over at least a full possession just because of how good defensively UCLA is. And again, UCLA is one of those teams that's going to try to play slow. Arizona is going to try to play super, super fast. So if Arizona's not hitting their shots and UCLA is able to control this play since this game's not on a true home court for Arizona, I think that could cause issues. So I do think Arizona wins, but again, not enough for me to actually bet it.
I'm just putting these up. We'll do first because I don't know. Wait, hold on. Kansas, yeah, that's 14.5. Fuck that.
Florida still free.
We'll put Kentucky money line. They might like Kentucky. They're laying 11.5. Dude, some people last night though were liking Louisville in the comments when we did it on the midnight show.
Yeah, Louisville again. I don't know if it's going to be today, but there's going to be a time that Louisville is going, their stock, if you want to just look at it like a stock, it's going to be a buy time here soon, because I think that losing Pryor is really huge for them. I think it's going to take them a few games to figure it out. But again, they're one of those teams, and I know that I've harped on it the last few nights, but again, they're one of those teams that from 3-point shooting range, only shooting 27% on the year. And if you take a look at all those guys on the roster, I mean, those numbers should only go up. So sooner or later, they're going to learn to play better. Pat Kelsey's a very good coach, and sooner or later, those threes are going to start hitting. So if that also, sooner or later, that's all going to start happening, and we're going to have some really good spots to bet on this Louisville team. I don't know if it's here today, but it could come soon.
So it's Thunder money line, Hawks money line, Army money line, Kentucky money line. Weird community parlay.
Play that just because.
Tri-sport community parlay. Someone in the comments want to shout out. The website is KyleKirms.com, by the way. Someone asking. Someone in the comments want to shout out the odds on that.
Really quickly, also some other bets. Arizona State plus the points, 7.5, whatever. Valpo money line, McNeese State plus 9.5. Everything else is pretty much different. Yeah.
Here, I put the website in the comments. If this is just for people who want to join, this is not like a sales. If you don't join if you don't want. If you want to be part of the group, cool. But like if not, it's no big deal at all. We appreciate you watching. I hate when you push the website out, you get people who feel like they were conned into joining, and then those people get pissed. So
yeah, that's not it. This is more of like I think the coolest thing about our group is that it's like we get people like Shipley, who's an absolute idiot but keeps the group growing, and you have people like Wags who are super sharp that have good models and stuff like that. You get a good array of people, so it's not like, oh, you're in my Discord, so you're tailing all my picks. Most people don't even give a shit about betting. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard to explain that to people. So yeah, someone shot plus 493. Thank you, Mickey. And someone asked real quick. Tinker's been sitting there typing in all caps, asking for Georgetown, Syracuse.
Georgetown, Syracuse. I have to look at the line, to be honest with you. I don't even know what it is off the top of my head.
It was short, like 1.5, I think.
Georgetown, Syracuse. Georgetown -1. Man, that number is way different. It was Georgetown +1 to start. I know it was.
How is Georgetown laying to Syracuse?
I think. I don't think that they're as bad as people think they are. Like I said, when we played, who did we play on Georgetown? I think we played them first half against West Virginia, either and we cashed or I don't know.
Yeah, you did.
I don't think they're as bad as what people think they are.
If I remember correctly, you and Andy took Georgetown first half, Scoop took West Virginia full game, and you all hit.
That's right. That's exactly what happened. You're right. So, I think this Syracuse team continues to kind of impress. Obviously, losing J.J. Starling with a broken hand, he's their best player. But look at Gauntlet is kind of funny, but they just got done playing Texas, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Cornell, and Albany. So obviously, 4 of those teams are pretty damn good. The Notre Dame game was on the road for them. So again, I think that Georgetown is a little bit better of a team, but Syracuse is at home and they're kind of facing a little bit of a step down in competition. And I don't think they looked as bad against Tennessee and Notre Dame and Texas as a lot of people make it out to be. All those were like 2 possessions games. So I don't think that Syracuse is really that bad. I don't know, man. I guess Syracuse at home just because I'm not at a point where I trust Georgetown, but at the same time, Syracuse can't hit their free throws. Neither one of these teams really turn it over. I guess Georgetown. Gun to my head, it would be Georgetown, I guess, but I don't really want to. That's not a team I really want to bet on the road. But I will say that Georgetown's one of the better free throw shooting teams in the country, and Syracuse is one of the worst. So anytime, and that's I know I sound like a broken record like that, but anytime that you have these one possession games, especially in college, free throws are going to matter late in games, and I want the team that on the line that I can trust. So it would be Georgetown or pass for me.
It's crazy. I didn't start looking at college basketball yet. Another couple weeks I will. To think that if you told me coming into the season, Georgetown be on the road at Syracuse laying points and our poll would be heavily on Georgetown,
Yeah.
I would have been like, what?
I know.
Like, what happened? Like, did the Syracuse bus crash and there's 5 starters are out? Like, how is that even possible?
That's actually kind of what happened. I mean,
They're
not
really
really,
hurt?
but like their best player. I mean, yeah.
All right.
The only guy that can score. That'd be like taking you off the sauce team. Like, oh, what are we going to do?
All right, everyone, go enjoy your Saturday. I'll be uploading an NFL video later. Be back at 11 a.m. Steve's going to be here, Jabo, so it'll be us two, Prop Beaver and Steve, for the NFL show. Same time as always, 11 a.m. And we'll be back running. It'll be a normal show where we actually have everything flowing. So, yeah, if you're in the betting league, you have 11 minutes to submit your picks, so go do that now. Anything else? Oh, yeah, so I shared the website in the comments. I don't usually do that purposely. I don't do that. If you're joining, just know, like, it's just like a group. Like, I share my spreadsheets and stuff. It's not a tout service. So just want to make that very clear. All right, everyone, have a good Saturday. Talk to you guys later. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me. Later.
That actually went a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah,